A video that I decided to make, my 15 improvements that I want to see from Civ V to Civ VI. I've been meaning to upload this video, but for some reason had some technical difficulties and it didn't go up. So I'm going to go ahead and try it again and get this video uploaded. Let's get started. One more thing I'd like to add is I've played about maybe 600 to 700 hours of Civ V, so I have very specific things that I would like changed, and everybody's will be different. First, number 15, reduction of ice tiles. Now, one of these ice tiles are one of these things that really annoy me. They limit your movement through continents, and there's a lot of times where you just explore somewhere and you kind of get stuck. I don't think that makes for interesting gameplay, and it tends to be more annoying than anything really. So I would just say that you should take this ice, pull it back to like the edge, just have it be at the edge, and allow people to just go through continents, because it's kind of annoying to. It's more annoying than it is really like interesting as a feature. It does kind of, I guess, technically limit your ability to move naval units. So in some ways it is kind of a feature, but it would still limit you if you just had like one path to go through. So either way, I think it's more annoying than it is useful, and I'd like to see it pulled back. I feel like it doesn't serve any purpose, because you could just literally put land here instead, and that would be just as effective. So next, sorry about the low quality here, but I had to zoom in a couple pictures here. Symbols, religious and stacked. So the religious symbols, the problem I have with them is very specific, and it's that it does not show what religion has this, or what religion this nation is. So it's easy to remember like when you've got one or two nations with religions, but when you've got like 6 or 7, things start to get a little confusing, and they get especially confusing when you capture somebody else's missionary or great prophet, and then you forget that it's not yours, that he's not of your religion. So when you see the color change to you, you think, oh, that he must be my religion now, since he's mine. But actually, he's not. He's still the enemy's religion. So you have to keep that in mind, and you can get tricked once in a while. So I think that it's a little silly, and that they should just edit these to represent the religion that they come from. Next is stacked symbols. So a lot of times the symbols, they stack on top of cities like such, with the caravan and the settler on top, or like the caravan, the settler, and like a military unit or whatever. So they tend to stack a lot more. So I want to see symbols that have space between them, that have different positions where they spawn, so that they never stack, because it can be annoying to try to select different ones. Less of a science focus. Now, Civ has always been a game that you win with science. I think that they're trying to go for a game which allows for different victories, more quote-unquote viable victories. And I think any effort in that direction is a good effort. I think that obviously, being ahead in science should yield you benefits, but I think that the problem is it yields you too many benefits. It gives you everything. It gives you more culture, it gives you more production, it gives you better units, it brings you closer to the scientific victory. So there's too many benefits. I consider maybe toning down the military benefit that you get from it. Make it so that like units that are one tier above are not such a huge jump, because between some of the units it was just a huge jump in Civ 5. Between pikemen and spears, it was huge. You could not compete with pikes once they came out. So I think that it should be a little smaller. If you get 2 techs ahead, okay, you should be crushing it. But I think that you should still have some sort of a fighting chance if somebody's ahead of you, like just 1 tech, because that's going to happen. So yeah. Leveling up system that is more clear. So with a lot of the units, you don't know really what the upgrade path is. Like, you can kind of tell, but there's a lot of things you're like really unsure about. Like, how do I get medic 2? How do I start getting like attacking while wounded? People say, well, it's like level 4 or whatever, but you don't get it at level 4 if you try to do like 3 rough upgrades or 2 rough upgrades and then one standard upgrade, or whatever you want to open upgrade, whatever you want to call it. So the way the leveling system works is actually kind of hidden, and you don't really know what it is unless like you've kind of researched it or other people have told you. I played many hours, and I did not know that you had to like triple upgrade something to be able to get the really tasty upgrades later, which really hurt my gameplay. So I think that they need to make it clear, and they need to show you like a leveling up tree if you want to see what it looks like, to help guide you, because guessing forever is not a good way to do things. So I'd like to see like a leveling system that is a little more clear, not just, oh, I'm leveling up this and I'll try to remember for next game. Like, Give me a chart. Give me like a tree. Next, more in-depth religion, war and spying. So religion's great, but it's a lot of passive bonuses, with the occasional building peppered here and there. I'd like to see the option to like have a belief that gives you like crusaders, or have a belief that gives you, I don't know, some sort of special religious unit that can do something a little different. Like maybe you can spread your religion, like if left alone, something like that. But I want to see something different, and I want to see things that are more active. I don't want to see more of like this filling of buckets, if you will. So, and I'd like to see religion be able to be used offensively more so. And I was just watching one of the live stream earlier, and it looks like you can declare a holy war. So, assuming that, hopefully they're going to be allowing a little bit more, how should I say, complexity with religion. I think that would really help. It would really help the system, so that it can be passive, kind of, or it can be warlike, which honestly is just more reflective of real life. Which is an added bonus, not a necessity, but an added bonus in my eyes. Next we have the spying system. Now this is great and all, but again, it's a lot of, I'm going to send this guy here and like fill up this bucket, send a guy here and fill up this bucket. It becomes a lot of just micromanaging, which is just not that impactful. So I feel that what they need to do is find a way to make it more interesting, Make it so maybe they can sabotage a unit, that kind of stuff. There's got to be more to the system, and right now it feels like filling buckets. So I heard that I think they're going to put them on the map, which is great. I think that you want to be staying on the map. You don't want to be like going to like all these small screens all the time. You want to be looking at the map. You want to be focusing on the map. That's where the action happens. So I think it'll be a lot more interesting if you get to see them interact with things on the map and maybe sabotage some districts, something like that. So you have more options. Diplomacy that feels impactful and somewhat straightforward. Number 10. So a lot of these decisions seems like false choices or choices that had no impact. I'd like to see diplomacy where you can trick people into getting mad at you, or have it be a little more intricate and have it feel more impactful. I think I would like that very much. So this was one of the choices that was annoying to decide on, because you felt like no matter what you decided, it didn't make a difference. Not only that, but it took you away from what you were doing every single time he came up on his stupid horse. So, yeah, I would like to see diplomacy that, feels impactful, and hopefully, is done in a way where you're not always taken away from what you're doing on screen. I think that's kind of a negative experience, especially when you have a lot of players and they keep bothering you. It can be quite troublesome to be taken out of like what you're doing like every single turn by a different AI asking you the same thing for the 5th time. So yeah, that's what I want to see out of the diplomacy in Civ 6. 9. Tactics that are more in depth. I think that the tactics are a good start in Civ 5, but I would like to see more strategy involved. I'd like to see more maybe putting down barriers to help your troops fight, or anything like that. Units that can like charge 2 tiles like once every like 5 turns or something like that. Something like with a cooldown, something interesting, so that big plays can be made instead of like the predictable like play patterns that we all know. I mean, at a certain point you become so good at it that you just play automatically for the most part, and it's not very engaging. So I'd like to see tactics that are slightly more in depth. They don't have to be like revolutionary, but maybe put some stuff on the map, maybe allow some units to have like a special ability, something like that. Improve barbarians. Yeah, so this is like one of the things that really bothers me, is that the barbarians are like, you see them and you're like, you'll never amount to anything, you'll be annoying, and that's it. That's literally all you have to worry about. Even with raging barbarians, they're not like that scary for the most part, they're just annoying. I'd like to see them like have some sort of development, have them have different personalities based on like, like tribe, different tribes. Maybe have them be like, oh, these guys are, very aggressive. Oh, these guys are a little less aggressive, but might build more camps, like that kind of stuff. So I'd like to see different barbarians, and I'd like to see them have a little bit more interest in their development, as opposed to just running around pillaging things and eventually getting run over later. So yeah, I'd like to see a lot more of an improved system with barbarians. All right. Number 7, alliances between players without shared technology. Yeah, so this was really a weird decision. You'd play a game with your friend, and you were forced into sharing technology or just not allying at all, which was incredibly silly, like right off the bat. So I I think this was kind of a casual approach, and it's unfortunate they never like changed it. But yeah, I'd like to be able to play games as allies from the start with shared vision and everything, but not share my tech because I have my own path, I have my own plan, and then the problem with sharing technology is like you can't really improve your play because you can't like account for what you've done because your friends' actions are having an impact on what you're doing too. So like you can't really improve your play because like your play is being affected by other people. So the only other option is to play without shared vision and without alliances, which is kind of silly. So I'd like to see the system be reworked a little bit. I'm sure this is an easy fix. Alright. More fleshed out and impactful city states. Just like the barbarians, like the city states are there. They're like, wow, they're annoying, or they're kind of useful, and they amount to nothing. They can't do war properly. They can't, do much. So I heard that you'll be able to levy units, which will be great. But I would like to see them have some sort of goal, some sort of clear goal, not just all these random little quests that really don't amount to anything. I'd like them to really like have some sort of feel impactful. Maybe like they hate this one nation and they want them taken down. Like I want them to have some personality. Not just like, oh, irrational. This is like plus this minus this. I want to see the city state with like it's on a freaking mission. And it wants to do something. I think that would be great. So yeah, that's how I feel in terms of city states. And maybe give them more that they can do on the map, or more that they can, give them more ability to interact with you, I guess. Like if they want to build a road with you, tell them like, okay, I'll build a road, then you build your side of the road, and then like we can connect roads, like things like that. I'll be really interested in ways in which you can really just, deal with them in a way that they can benefit you, so. AI that makes sensible diplomatic decisions and logical tactical attacks. This is a huge request. I wanted the diplomacy to be a little bit more logical, and you can kind of understand where they're coming from, which it seems like it kind of will in Civ 6, but time will tell as I play the game. Logical tactical attacks, this is kind of harder to do because I've requested a better tactics, but I think that they really need to be making at least fairly decent attacks, because a lot of times they just I just see their army and I'm like, wow, they're gonna run me over, and then they just completely and utterly fail at attacking me, and I'm just sitting there wondering how did you fail that? All you have to do is walk in and just attack. So I'd like them to just take decisive action when they do something, even if it's not the best. As long as they take decisive action, it would feel like they're a lot more effective than they are now, where they just walk around, get shot, get picked off, and then they just kind of lose the fight. Number 4, more viable win conditions. Well, as you can see here from the domination victory, one of the main issues in Civ V is that every victory is a domination victory. So I heard that they're adding religious victories, which is great. I'm sure there's going to be a culture one in Civ 6. But yeah, I'd like to see more options on how to win the game. And I think that would really benefit the players to see some different victories for once. Even if they come a little earlier than others, I'd really like to see them. And I think that would really help improve the game quite a bit. So yeah, more viable win conditions would be great. Better city sieges. Yeah, the cities, they feel like very tough places to assault, with an unfair benefit for ranged, if that makes sense. So like if you've got a bunch of ranged units, you can just keep hitting it, and not getting hit back. But when you attack with melees, you take terrible damage. So I feel like that makes no sense, because you have like no units in the city defending, as in the screenshot here, yet it's able to fend off like hordes of people. It doesn't make sense, and I think it's a great way to benefit people who aren't good at the game. It's like, oh, your city defends itself, don't worry about it, buddy. It's like, no, you need to have a garrison in there. And by garrison, I don't mean like you need to build units and like put them in there, but at least you need to maybe build a building which garrisons units in it, something like that. Maybe you need to have a wall to be able to like help defend your city. I want to see people invest in defending cities, or else pay the price. Now, I also want to see cities, on the other hand, I would like to see cities with like a lot of HP, so you have to assault them for a long time. You have to like, break down their health. Maybe first break down a wall, and then you can get at their health. I want them to feel like large things that take a while to take, but don't just fight by themselves. Don't fight for themselves. Like, if they have no defenses, they can be assaulted a lot until eventually they get taken, but they shouldn't be attacking you back. because if they have no garrison, how are they attacking you? It's just weird, and I think it's poorly done. So I want to see cities that take longer to take, but cannot defend themselves as easily. That's what I would like to see, in my opinion. And then cities with like a little bit more complex of like a sieging mechanic. You know, like if they've been hit many times, they've been attacked many times recently, they need to kind of recover their health and their walls, and they are more vulnerable to like later attacks. That way, like strategy plays in. Like, oh, this guy used to attack this city. Maybe if I attack it now, like they're weakened, I can take the city easily. So I want to see like that come into consideration. You know, I don't want to just see like, oh, I'm gonna just bomb rush this city and take it in like 2 turns. Like that shouldn't be too possible. I think it'd be better if it was just, you know, assaulted over a while and then eventually just worn out to the point where it just goes down. Maps that feel less cluttered. Yeah, so this is like a specific map script, so I'm sure like a lot of maps are not actually this bad, but in a lot of situations, you know, between the ways that city-states take spots and other cities take spots and take territory, the maps in Civ starts to feel very cluttered, like you can't go around somebody's borders, blah blah blah. It's very frustrating. So I'd like to see maps that allow you to, or maps that are just generated with more space. With less situations like this where you have literally like 1 tile or 2 tiles you can run in from, and then you have to run and lose your movement point and stand there getting shot before you can even attack by like a city. So I'd like to see maps that are a little bit less cluttered with scripting that allows for more space. Now this is something that I'm a little afraid won't really happen in Civ 6 after seeing screenshots. I mean, maybe they can generate bigger maps because they have 64-bit now, but I'm a little bit afraid about this. But at least MUPT, which is multiple unit per tile, will help alleviate this issue to some degree. Last, modability. People can and will fix your game and make it better if you let them. And guess what? After you see that, Firaxis will take it and implement it in later expansions and or games. Because they're like, wow, this is way better than what we did. And the modder will be like, yeah, of course it is, because I play your game all the time. I know it's annoying. So Firaxis has been pretty good about taking some of the ideas that modders have put in and putting them into their games later on. So the value of the modding community is there, and that was with Civ V even, like, which has been, or other Civs, but also Civ V, which has had very limited modability because it's so difficult to do apparently. So I want to see mod support, and I heard that multiplayer modding will be available, which is like, I just wondered why it wasn't in Civ V. To be honest with you, I just couldn't understand like why wasn't there multiplayer modding in Civ V. It's huge. It's a huge drawback of Civ V. Unless you do some DLL editing, you can't really mod in Civ V. So I want to see, Civ 6 is going to have multiplayer modding. Good. Is it going to be doable though? Is it going to be doable enough that we get a lot of people coming in and doing it? Because this is a huge opportunity for Civ 6 to live forever as one of the greatest Civ games, if not the greatest Civ game, because if you let the modders take your game and just make their own wonderful creations that are made in a different way, you'll learn a lot. We'll get to see different things that we like. It'll start discussions on the boards. People will start to see what works, what doesn't work, and explore more avenues for how Civ can be played. And I think that it will really help evolve the franchise. Alright, next time we'll talk Congo, and I'll move on to a couple more videos of recently released leaders. Have a great day, boys.